Let me record now. Okay, now these two statements, that is declarative statements, what it will do is it will create two sub procedures, area and circumference, and both the sub procedures has one parameter, which is r. And this declaration part is optional. We may write or we may ignore it as well, but according to the curriculum we will write. That means we have to write this declarative statement. Now after the declaration of these two statements, what it will come across is this CLS keyword, and CLS keyword, it will simply clear the output screen. Then it will come to this input keyword. It will ask one question, enter radius, and whatever value user types, that will be stored in this variable r. And first of all, it will, what it will do is it will call area sub procedure. So once the area sub procedure is called, our control will go towards area sub procedure. Okay, area sub procedure has been called and we are inside area sub procedure. So 7 is the value. Let's say 7 is the value user type. So r holds value 7. And while calling area, 7 is passed because here is r inside the bracket, which is argument. So an argument value is 7. So 7 is passed, and this 7 will be stored in this variable r, which is the parameter. And it will come below to this line, that is a equals to 22 by 7 into r square, where the formula will be is executed and area is calculated, which will be stored in variable a, and that's what it will be printed. And it will display the area of a circle is whatever is the required area. And after that, it will come across end sub. Now after end sub, what will happen is once the sub procedure is over, it will again roll back to the main module. So here is our main module, and since this line has been executed, so it will, our control will come below this call. So our control will come to another call statement, that is call circumference statement. So what will happen is once this statement is executed, our circumference sub procedure is executed. So our control will go towards circumference definition. So here is our definition. So 7 is the argument, same thing, 7 will be passed, 7 will be stored in this r. And one more thing, this r, all these parameters are different. Okay, they are all different. Now there is a concept of local and global variable, which I'll tell you in another class, that will come later. So you don't need to be confused with all these r's. Okay, so all these r's are simply parameters, and for this sub procedure, this r is only for this sub procedure, this r is only for this circumference, and so on. So they don't get mixed up because they are in different sub procedures. So call circumference r, we are in sub procedure. So value of r is 7. So this line will execute, this formula line where calculation will be done and circumference is evaluated, and that circumference will be stored in this variable c, and with this line circumference will be printed. So as we run our program, we can see 7. So 7 is stored over here. Call area, it will go to the definition of area, where it will calculate and print the value. Again, it will roll back to the main module. Circumference will be called. Again, control will go inside circumference. Circumference will be calculated and displayed. So this is how our output will look like. It will displaying area as well as it is displaying circumference. Okay. So, okay, so this, and usually in our program, that is the programs that we will study according to the SE curriculum, we don't have to make two sub procedures. Only one sub procedure is enough. For each and every question that we'll study from now on, we'll only have one procedure. It may be either a sub procedure or it may be function procedure. And this same program, I will just revise using function module or function procedure as well. So, but for exam point of view, it's only one sub procedure or one function procedure that we have to use for each and every program that we have to study. So being said all that, we will move towards another question, and it is related with perimeter. So, okay, now it's time to write me the question as well as the answer. So let me just clear everything out. Okay, this also. Let's clear. So okay, here is the question. Remarks. Write a program to input length and breadth of a rectangle and display its perimeter using sub procedure. So okay, this is our question. Now the first thing that we have to do is, now don't indulge yourself writing, okay? Just try to understand everything, because all this link I will definitely share in Google Classroom, so that you can go through the video one more time and you can write down all these codes, okay? All these answers you can write down later also. So just try to understand as much as possible. So the question right now here is about perimeter. So let's give our sub procedure name as perimeter. And in this particular question, we need length and breadth. Two things required, that is length and breadth. So L for length and B for breadth, where L and B are the parameters. So after our declaration part, we write CLS and we take all the inputs that are required. That is enter length. For length L, and then we have breadth. For breadth also enter BREADTH, breadth. So here is our length and breadth. And what we do is, after we taking input, we call our sub procedure. To call, we have call keyword, and the name of the sub procedure is perimeter and length breadth L comma B. End. So whatever we have written so far is the main module. Okay, this is the main module. This is the main module. Okay. Now remaining part is the definition. So for definition, we start with sub and we write down perimeter, then it is L comma B. Now in definition part, there are two things that we do. We write down the formula and we display our answer. So the perimeter formula is P is equals to 2 L plus B. This is the formula. As you can see, there is error being showed. Now this error is because our formula is not correct. The way we have written our formula is not correct. Now while writing formula, what we have to remember is we have to write all the arithmetic operators that are involved in the formula. That is, 2 over here is multiplying with L plus B, multiplying with the sum of length and breadth. So if we just leave it as it is, then it is going to show error. So what we have to do is we have to manually write multiplication sign. So these things we shouldn't forget. Okay. So our formula is now ready and correct. So let's simply print. Now this is to display our answer, the perimeter. The perimeter of a rectangle is, it is in P. So you have to write down this word, okay, print. Don't write question mark. Now if you are doing practical exam, it's not a problem. You can use this question mark symbol as well. But in copy and in exam, compulsorily you have to write print word. So there are no, don't use any shortcut, okay. So here is our program. It is almost over. So let's simply check our answer. What we do is we run our program. Okay, 5 and 3. So 5 3s are 15, 15 2s are 30 is, okay, 5 plus 3. 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 2s are 16 is the answer, which is perimeter of a rectangle. So this is how we can solve perimeter of a rectangle program. Okay, let's move ahead and let's solve one more program, and that is related with area 4 walls. And one more thing, anything you would like to ask, okay, if you are confused anywhere at any point, do let me know in the chat section. Okay, our chat section is always open. So what you can do is you can write me the message through it. I'll just go through the message and I'll try to explain whatever you have not understood. Okay, that's how we'll continue. So anything so far, if you have not understood in any line, anything, just let me know through the chat section. Okay, now let's move towards another question. And another question we'll be doing is with area of four walls. Now, area of four walls, for area of four walls, we need three things. That is length, we need breadth, and we also need height. And HEIGST, height of a rectangle and display. Okay, it's not rectangle, but height of a wall. Okay, I'm just writing height of a wall, and display its and display the area of four walls and display the area of four walls. Okay, this is the question. Four walls using sub procedure. Okay, basically this is the question. Write a program to input length, breadth, and height of a wall and display the area of its four walls using sub procedure. Okay, this is not that clear. Okay, let me write this using sub procedure. Okay, hopefully now this is clear. And this apostrophe and rem is not required. Okay, while you're writing this question in your copy, because rem I have to write it in, because I'm using QBasic editor, and in QBasic editor I'm just marking this as a comment. Okay, now we have to do like this. So in your copy, you can simply write a program and this apostrophe not required. So let's change our name of the sub procedure, and this time it is area. And for this program, we need one more parameter, which is height. So I've added height as well. So enter length, breadth, and one more thing I need to write is the height. So enter HEIGST, height. So height is h. So we need to call sub procedure named area. So area, length, breadth, and height. So here LBH, arguments is also known as real parameter or actual parameter, and here LBH is simply parameter, and it is also known as formal parameters. Now let's go towards our definition. So we'll simply edit this definition. We'll write sub area. We'll add one more parameter h, and we'll modify our formula. That is a is equals to, now the formula is 2h L plus b. So in this formula, 2 is multiplying with h. So we write multiplication symbol in between. And this product 2 into h is again multiplying with the sum of L plus b. So we have to write one more multiplication sign over here. And this marks the end of our formula. And the only thing that we need to do is to display. So the area of four walls is A. Now let's run our program. Length 8, 10. Okay, we have height as well. Okay, now looks like E is missing. Is E missing? Yeah, E is missing. So the area of four walls is 108. So this is our final answer. Let's go towards our main module. There is this, but let's see what happened. Okay, there is E over here, but it's not displaying. It looks like, okay, it got a little bit contracted. Okay, so okay, I hope now it is all clear. So okay, 1 2 3, and this is our answer. So basically this is how a formula program is solved using sub procedure. And according to the SE curriculum, there is one question that has to be according to the formula. Now, according to the curriculum, one question is compulsory to be asked using formula. And that question might be using sub procedure or it might be using function. We never know. But in whatever case, the basic procedure to solve is all this. Okay, whatever we have done, that's how we do. So moving further, let's go for the distance formula now. Write a program to input You all know this initial velocity, which you have studied in physics as well. Now we need three things. Another one is acceleration is required and time taken. Write a program to input initial velocity, acceleration, and time taken, and display the distance traveled using sub-procedure. Now, what we need is we need three things, that is initial velocity, acceleration, and time taken. And for that, I'm declaring a sub-procedure. So this question is related with distance. So we'll give distance as our sub-procedure name. So initial velocity, it is represented by u, time is t, and acceleration a. And one more thing, in exam, you don't need to worry about the formula. So now suppose if you don't know the formula, then in question, formula will be clearly given. So the only thing that you have to know is how you can convert the mathematical formula into QBasic expression. That's all you need to learn. So let's move towards our program. CLS is already there. Now input. So we start with initial velocity. Initial velocity. Now let's store it in U. Then we have acceleration. So for acceleration, let's use variable A and enter time taken. Time taken. So for time taken, we'll use variable T. And after our input is over, what we do is we call the sub-procedure and the name is distance. Our sub-procedure is distance. And there are three things as a parameter. So we have to provide three arguments. And our arguments are stored in U, A, and T. So this is our argument. And end to end our main module. Now let's go towards the definition, which starts with sub, distance, and we need three things, U, T, A. So this is our definition part where we write down the formula and we display our required answer. So S is equals to UT plus half AT squared. So this is actually our formula, AT square. Okay, so square is written like this. Now if we simply write like this, then our answer is not correct because this formula is not correct. As you can see, it says this error, expected end of statement, such kind of error is being shown, which actually means the statement that we have written is not correct. So let's debug this statement, and the problem in this statement is UT, which means U and T are multiplying with each other. So to mark multiplication between U and T, we have to write asterisk symbol. Okay, U and T, there has to be this multiplication symbol. Plus half is multiplying with A. So again, there has to be multiplication symbol in between. And here A is also multiplying with T square. So what we need is we need another asterisk symbol over here. So U multiplied with T plus half multiplied with A multiplied with T square. And this is our required formula. And if you want, then you can keep this inside brackets or you can simply leave it. No problem. So let's display our formula. Our answer. That is the distance traveled is S. So this is our answer. Let's run our program. Initial velocity. Let's give it 8. Okay, 10, 15. So our answer is the distance traveled is 830. Okay, this is our program. So what I want everybody to do is, now all these programs are very much essential and very much important. So what you have to do is you have to write all the programs that we have studied in class. And as I told you, the link, I will definitely attach the link in the Google Classroom. So what you can to do is you have to open the video through the link that is in your Google Classroom, and you have to write down all the programs that we have studied. Okay. And another thing is, once you complete all your work, what you have to do is you have to take the photograph of this programming part and you have to send me in Google Classroom. Okay, send me in Google Classroom, not in WhatsApp or anything else. Just send me in Google Classroom all the work that you have done. Okay, and I'll tell you when to send. So far, just try to understand what we have been studying. So I guess we can do one more program, and after this, most probably we'll end our class for today. And the program that I'm about to do is a very simple program, and that program is related with simple interest. So for simple interest, the question is write a program to input principal, PT, that is time, and rate. We need three things, and display the simple interest using subprocedure. Okay, so here let's change into interest. Here we need three things, that is P, principal, time, and rate. And for rate I'm using R. So let's write down the three questions, that is principal, enter principal, that will store in variable P, PT, enter time, let's store in T, and rate, this is rate of interest, let's store in R. Now let's call our sub procedure interest interest. We have P, T, and R, and the sequence in which we have written our parameters, the same sequence that we have to use while we are passing our arguments. If it is PRT here, then here also you have to pass PRT. Okay, so let's go to our sub procedure. Okay, I'm deleting one. Okay, I will modify this area, sub interest, interest. Okay, let's make it small, trest, interest, ptr, p, t, and r. And the formula to calculate simple interest, for that I'm using variable I to store the value of simple interest, PTR upon 100. So P is multiplying with time, multiplying with rate, and the whole thing has to be divided by 100. So PTR, the best thing over here is to keep this in brackets, and it is 100. Because what we want is we want to multiply all this and then divide by 100. And whatever is the value that we have to display, so the simple interest is P. Yeah, sorry, I. Let me separate this. Okay, so let's run our program. Simple interest. Okay, let's say 20,000. Rate of time 1 year, and rate of interest is 10%, and the interest that we have to pay is 2,000. Okay, so this is another formula program that we have just completed. Now there are few programs that we'll do, and we'll write a program to input initial velocity, then comes acceleration, initial velocity, acceleration, and the final thing that we need is time taken, and display the distance traveled. Okay, this is the program. this program we have to solve using sub procedure, and for sub procedure what we do is we first of all declare. So declare sub, and the program that we are doing is distance. Okay, the program that this program will display the distance travel. So the best sub procedure name is going to be distance. So that's what I've written, and we need three things, that is initial velocity, acceleration, and time taken. These are the three things that we require. Okay, CLS. Now we need to take three things as an input. Always remember, first we do declare, that is declaration part we do at the beginning. Then we, after our declaration part is over, then we write CLS. Now CLS also, suppose if you forget to write CLS, no problem, our program will run, but it's the best habit is to write CLS as well. Okay, and I've already told you that declaration is also optional, but in every program we will write declare statement. Okay, even though if we ignore this statement, our program will run, but we will be using it. So this is how SE programs are written. So we will stick to the SE curriculum and we will be writing declare statement. As far as CLS keyword goes, now it is to clear the output screen, and that is also optional, but it's better we write down. So it's just a matter of 3-letter word. So let's write it. So input, enter, we need initial velocity, and let's store initial velocity u. Now let's go for acceleration, that is input, enter acceleration. Now for acceleration, let's use a variable, and time taken. Okay, and for time we'll use t. Now this part, that this UAT is, I hope everybody has said answer to themselves, that is, it is parameters or formal parameters, whereas this UAT, these are the values, and these values we will pass while calling the sub procedure. So after taking input we call, and to call we use call keyword, and we write down the name of the sub procedure, which is distance. Then we write down u, a, and t. So here UAT is arguments, and arguments are also known as real parameters or actual parameters. And once we call, we usually end our main module. So from declare to the end, this is the highlighted part right now in your screen, is the main module. So after we write down our main module, what we'll do is we'll go towards the definition, and definition starts with sub. Then we write down the name of the sub procedure, which is distance. Then we write down the parameters, which is u, a, t. Now there are three parameters right now, and in declaration part, now look over here in the main module. Here what we have done is we have first send initial velocity, then acceleration, then time taken. Now in the same sequence we have to write down the parameters as well. Over here we have to write initial velocity, acceleration, and time taken. So this is what we have to be careful of. So as soon now it's time for the formula, and once we write down the formula will evaluate the value for distance, and it will be stored in a variable, and that variable will be using s, is equals to ut plus half, that is half at square. Okay, and for square we'll be using this sign. So for this, what we have to do is we have to write down in a complete Q basic expression, and for that we have to write this multiplication sign in between. Half is multiplying with a, and the whole thing is again multiplying with t square. So this is our complete formula, and the best way is you can write down brackets. If you want, you can write down brackets also, and this is how I prefer to write down. Okay, if you don't write also, it's not a problem, it's going to be all right. So the distance is, now let's write down the distance which is stored in s. So let's run our program. So it says initial velocity, suppose initial velocity 40, acceleration maybe 5, okay, time taken 7. Okay, this is the distance that is traveled. Now, okay, now it is, Okay, so this is now, hopefully you can see the whole sentence now, because this first initial was kind of hiding. Okay, so this is the distance formula. So what actually happens is, first of all, our program starts with the main module. Here it will first declare our sub procedure. So our sub procedure will be created. Okay, distance, this sub procedure is created. Then CLS, it will simply clear the output screen. Now, suppose if I remove this output screen, okay, so sorry, if I remove this CLS, then what will happen is, we'll see in a while. So input, then these three inputs will be asked, and for which the user will give value, and the values will be stored in UAT, that is initial velocity in U, acceleration in A, and time taken in T. And same values will be passed while calling. And as soon as this statement is executed, our control will go to the sub procedure, and whatever values that has been sent from the main module will be stored in these three variables, which are also known as parameters or formal parameters. And this is simply the formula, and this formula will evaluate the value, distance value, and that value will be stored in S, and that's what we have displayed. Now let's see. Okay, I'm running the program. Okay, just see the output carefully. So this is what happens. As you can see that here it is asking, now you can see the previous output as well. Now this is what CLS will do. CLS, what if we had written CLS, it would have cleared the previous output and the fresh output will only be displayed. For that purpose we write CLS. Okay, let's give the value. Okay, I'm just writing down the random values over here. Okay, our answer has come. Now if suppose this time if I write CLS, then whatever was the previous output, that will simply be removed. As you can see over here, the output has been removed and we got the fresh output. So this is basically the use of CLS keyword. Okay, so let's move towards another program. Now these are the questions, okay, that has been asked in SE, and so far whatever programs we have written, each carries 3 marks. Okay, everything is of 3 marks right now. So the next program that we are about to do is also important, and it is asked in SE in one of the, maybe one, it is frequently asked, okay, this particular question, but there is nothing difficulty in this one. And the question is like this: write a program to input length, breadth, and height of, write a program to input length, breadth, and height of a cuboid and display the total surface area. And this program also will be doing using sub procedure. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to declare. So declaration is done through declare keyword, then we write down sub. Now we need to write down the name of the sub procedure. So since this is total surface area, I'm writing TSA, okay, total surface area. Now one thing is, don't use these full stops in between. Okay, simply write down TSA. No need to write on full stops. Don't write full stops. So this sub procedure requires 3 parameters, because we are going to take 3 things as an input, that is length, breadth, and height. For length it is L, for breadth it is B, and for height it is H. So let's take input. CLS is already there. Now it's time to take input. So let's take input length, and for length we'll be using variable L. Okay, now for breadth, let's write down breadth. So breadth B, and height. And for height we'll be using variable H. Now it's time to call the sub procedure, and to call sub procedure, call keyword we'll be using, and write down the name of the sub procedure, which is TSA. And if there is any question, if there is any confusion, anything you would like to ask, use the chat section. Okay. So far I have not received any questions, so I'm just going to move ahead. That is TSA. Now this will simply edit this one. So instead of distance, we'll write TSA, and we'll write down length, breadth, and height. Okay, now the formula. The formula for total surface area is, I'll simply use T is equals to 2, and this is the formula, LB plus LH plus BH. Okay, this is how we write in mathematics. Okay, look at the formula. Now, as you can see, there is this error being shown. Now, it is because our formula, the way we have written, is not correct. Okay, because this is not the QBasic expression. This is simply the mathematical expression that we use in mathematics, which is not allowed over here. So what we have to do is we have to convert this particular expression into mathematical expression. And in order to convert into mathematical expression, we have to add one more symbol, which is the multiplication symbol, because length is multiplying with breadth. So multiply. Length is multiplying with height. So multiply sign. And breadth is multiplying with height, B into H. Still, there is one more error, and it is because of this particular reason. Okay, over here there is a mistake, and the mistake is 2. It is a numeric value according to the formula, and this 2 is multiplying with this whole thing. Okay, so what we require over here is also the multiplication sign, that is 2 multiplying with this particular thing, this whole thing, that is LB plus LH plus BH. So our formula is almost ready. Now we are ready to write down the we are ready to display, and to display we'll first display one message, that is the total surface area of a cuboid is, and we have stored it in T. So first let's see the output. Okay, length, breadth, height 7, 8, 9. So this is the total surface area of the cuboid, and right now the answer is 0 over here. As you can see, the output, it is 0. Now if it is 0 means there is something wrong in our program. So let's see what has gone wrong in our program. So LB, LH, and BH. Declare sub TSA, TSA. Okay, here is the mistake. Instead of LBH, we have passed UAT. We forgot to edit this one. That's why the whole thing was showing error. So we, instead of UAT, there should have been LBH. I hope you are understanding right now. So now let's run our program, and it should give the correct output. So 789 and okay, 382. This is the total surface area of a cuboid. Okay, now there is one more thing that I would like to show you through this particular program. I don't know if I have told you about this one or not, but if I haven't told you, then this is going to be one important thing. Okay, now it is in the definition part. Okay, over here. In few books, you might find answers being written in this way also. Print T. Okay, if you find like this, now then it is not actually incorrect. Okay, this is not incorrect, but the only problem is this one. Okay, length 5, 6, 7. Okay, now you are getting the value. Okay, this is the total surface area, but the problem over here is it is not showing the message. The message is not being shown over here. So the best way to display our answer is to show the message as well. So that's why it is advised to write down the message as well. So don't ignore this message. Okay, now if you are in practical exams, then okay, it's understood that your person, okay, the one who is taking the exam will also be near you, but while writing, you will write your exams, you will give your papers. The one who is correcting, if they don't see the message, then, and if they deduct certain marks, then it is allowed to do that. Okay, it is allowed to deduct marks for not writing message. So instead of taking that risk, the best way is to write the message. That's why in each and every program we will write a certain message. There will be a certain message being displayed. So and the message means you don't write a random message, but the appropriate message which we had written previously also. Okay, the total surface area of a cuboid is, it is T. So this is the appropriate, or this is the actual way to write a program, and accordingly we get our required output. So after this, let's move towards another program, and this program is even more simpler than this, and it is all about simple interest. So write a program to input principal, and this question has also been asked in one of the years. So principal, time, and rate, we need these three things, and what we need to do is we need to display the simple interest, simple interest, and display the simple interest using sub procedure. It is always there and it is understood also. So let's change our sub procedure into interest. Here we also need three things: P, T, R. So let's use input keyword to take input, that is enter principal. For principal we'll be using P. Then we have time. For time let's use T. And for rate, now we need rate, and for rate it is simply R. So we need to call the sub procedure interest and pass P, T, and R. Here PTR are the arguments or the real or actual parameters that is passed to the sub procedure, and in sub procedure there will be the parameters which will store the values that are being passed from here. So let's move towards the definition of the sub procedure, which is over here. So sub interest, so PTR. Now it's time to write down the formula. Let's remove this T and let's write simply R. And PTR upon 100. So PTR, which are multiplying with each other. So let's give multiplication symbol. And the whole product has to be divided by 100. So this is our actual formula. So PTR upon 100. And once this formula is executed, interest value will be evaluated, and that value will be stored in I. So once this formula is executed, interest value will be evaluated and it will be stored in I. That's what we have to display. So let's write one message. The simple interest is, we have stored it in I. So let's display I. So let's run. So let's give simple interest, principal as 20,000. Let's give time period of 1 year, and let's give rate of interest as 7%. And the interest that we get or pay is 1,400 rupees. Okay. So this is actually the program for simple interest. So there's nothing difficulty in this particular program. Now we'll move towards another set of programs, and that is going to be related with volume. Okay. So this will be the last formula program that we'll do for sub procedure, and we'll come back to all these programs one more time when we will be studying function procedure. Okay. So everything will be, there will be a kind of revision also while we study function procedure. So for now, the last program for sub procedure, and the program is this one. Write a program to input radius. So we just need radius for this program, radius, and display the volume of a sphere. Maybe you have studied this thing in mathematics as well. So there is one formula to calculate volume of a sphere. We'll be using that particular formula. And for that formula, we only need one variable, that is radius. Okay, the only value we need is radius value. That's what we are going to take as an input. We'll pass that radius value to the sub procedure. There we'll apply a formula and we'll display the output. So let's start. So first of all, our sub procedure, that is volume. This is a program related with volume. So let's change our sub procedure name to volume. Declare sub volume. Now there is only one thing that we have to take as an input, which is radius. So in our parameter part, we will be only using one variable, which is r, and that r we will be using for radius. So CLS, we already have this. Now only let's take input, that is enter radius. Now, if you want to write down the whole sentence also, no problem. Enter radius of a sphere. If you want to write like this, that's much more better. Okay, this is much more better message. Radius. Now these two, we don't require this. Now let's call, that is call volume. Volume, and we just need to send r. Okay, so this is our main module. Now what we need is we need to write down the definition. So below end we'll write down our definition. Now in your copy, what we have to do is we'll write like this. Okay, you start with declare, you write CLS, whatever inputs you need, you write down your input, you write down, then you will call the sub procedure, then you write end, and after end, below end, you will start writing the definition. That is, you'll start like this: sub volume, then r. Now in this particular editor, it will take us to the another window. That is, in this window it will take us. Okay, this is actually the definition. There are some editors where it doesn't take into this kind of window, but what it will do is everything will be in one particular window only. That is, after end, we write down the definition for the sub procedure. In some it is like that, but the editor that I have works like this, and the editor that we have installed in our school also works in a similar way. Okay, so basically in your copy, what you have to do is you have to start everything after end. After end, you'll write down the definition. That is, this particular part you'll write below end keyword. So now it's time for us to write down the formula, and the formula is volume is equals to, it is 4 by 3 pi r cube. Okay, this is the formula. Now this is not the correct one. Now we need to edit over here. That is, 4 by 3 has to multiply with pi, and for pi what we do is we write down 22 by 7. That is 22 divided by 7, and this whole thing is again multiplying with r square. Okay, so this is our formula, that is 4 by 3 pi r cube. So this is the formula for volume of a sphere. Now we have already used, or we have already applied our formula. Now it's time to display our message or display our answer. So let's display the answer. That is, the volume of a sphere is, the volume of a sphere is, we have stored it in V. So let's write down the variable. Now let's run our program. Let's give one radius. Okay, let's say radius as 9. So this is our volume. So basically that's it. And by this time, I hope everybody is very much familiar and comfortable with the formula programs related with sub procedure.
Thank you so much for watching. Please do like my video so that I get motivated to create more of these videos. We would appreciate if you would share this video with your friends. And if you have any queries and suggestions, let me know through the comment section. Lastly, please do subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you.